So it's really nice to connect with you after so long. I mean, I remember your face clearly, but I don't think we got to
Ah,
interact much in SIMC back then.
Also, I think so. The thing is, my name changed after that.
Is it?
I actually went through a name change after my spiritual journey started. So a
Oh,
lot of symbiosis people may remember me by my face, but they may not remember my name because this name didn't
that's
exist.
very interesting because and the fact that I don't remember your name means that it was like your face is more important, obviously, right?
Yeah, my identity was very, I think, always very weak before this. And it completely dropped away much later when I met my first guru.
Hmm.
And so this happened, and then I met the guru, and like everything was like sort of in a continuum, but in parallel universes, and all of this kind of came together. And I was just clear that I want to change my identity.
That's yeah, because that's interesting. Like for me, it was like I kind of adopted my middle name to make it like my full name. But
Ah,
in terms of
okay.
identity, I think it was more of like the name itself didn't change, although I did think of changing it in
Hmm.
the middle. But
Ah, okay.
I think my entire personality and everything took a total turn after everything I'd gone through. So, and I
Oh,
think for the
okay.
better, because back then I was very like, I'd say I was very pampered and spoiled, and I had this like, like different kind of,
Sweet.
and
Yeah.
there was a little bit of an impact, right? Because I was in India then, and it was all
Hmm.
about like people viewing me from a certain lens, and so that I could not
Hmm.
like before I could even try to like mark my own identity or carve
Hmm.
an identity for myself. I was already being
Hmm.
judged for someone who um, possibly existed, but actually that person didn't
Yeah.
exist. But people thought, okay, she must be like this. But and then I tried to match
Yeah.
their expectations.
Expectations.
So
Yeah. But how is it to be a celebrity kid? Is it like really tough?
it's okay. So honestly, see, because I'm from a previous marriage, right? So I thought
Hmm.
growing up, I did not get that much like media, uh, like attention, so to speak, although I was
Okay.
very much there and around. But I think that was
Hmm.
also to protect my mental health because I did have
Ah.
a diagnosis when I was 16, since age of 16. So I think
Hmm.
that kind of deliberately did that. But anyways, I think it doesn't matter because whether or not
Hmm.
you have that, the people who do know about it will always be a bit,
Hmm.
either they will want to be friends with you because of that, or they
Hmm.
will resent you because they think that, okay, she must have gotten
No.
everything in her
Yeah.
life very easily
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
doesn't really have to work for any of those things. But recently I did share about how like things like even like domestic abuse or violence, it can happen to anyone regardless of
Oh,
socioeconomic status.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
It did in my case. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it's always I always have kind of tried to like struggle to break free of that
Hmm.
identity. And I think my dad also wants the same for me to kind of do my own thing. So it's kind of nice to have
Yeah.
him here. यहाँ पे कोई nobody gives any heed to like which family you're from and what it's
Yeah.
about
Yeah. You
what
can be a nobody there.
yeah, yeah, it's about what you
Yeah.
bring to the table, and it's nice. Yeah, I like it here because of that.
Okay. So how did the Toronto episode even happen to you? Like, what were you doing in India before? I remember you were doing something in dancing
Yeah, yeah.
when I knew you last. So
Yeah.
what's that journey been like?
So during SIMC time, so I would always just skip classes. I would bunk and go for dance class. So then eventually I ended up then doing like a regular SIMC degree. But I dropped that also, and I wanted to just only do dance. And luckily,
Hmm.
I I found my I was blessed to find a very good guru, Pandita Manisha Sathe ji at that time, and Guru
Oh.
Tejaswini Sathe, who took me under their wing, and that was a very special time for me. And it was
Hmm.
more of not just about learning dance. I mean, it's true with every guru, right? You don't
Yeah.
just learn about dance and movement, but it's also a way of life. So, um,
100%.
yeah, so that was a very special time in my life for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, so I guess I kind of I don't know if I answered your question. I got straight.
No, no, I'm just like trying to put you through, like
Yeah, to
we know each
kahan se
other 10
yahan
years
to
back.
journey.
हाँ, कहाँ से ना? I
Yeah.
mean, you did
So
I remember SIMC was not something that you pursued, that I knew, but I only knew that you went into dancing. So,
yeah,
and then after that, we've not been in touch. So I was just like curious on,
yeah.
did you follow through the dance path later
Yeah,
or
so I
how?
I follow the dance, but I think
Hmm.
it was a lot of like I'll be very honest, I there's a lot of like cutthroat competition even when dance, which I and
Hmm.
which I think kind of defeats the whole purpose of dance. So that's
Ah,
why I don't
ah.
like that kind of like and I'm not saying that that's true in like every sphere, like definitely if you like
Hmm.
yeah, but there is and that kind of created a lot of anxiety for me. So I think when I moved
Hmm.
to Germany, when I had
Okay.
gotten in my previous life, my previous life, uh,
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to kind of just uh, like indulge in that creativity and dance in any way that I wanted to, and
Yeah.
I kind of just did my own thing. I did a lot of performances
Hmm.
with, like in cafes and churches and with the community,
Oh.
and so I was full time doing dance actually, and I think
Hmm.
that is what kept me alive. So I realized that like even though like I was probably not like the best dancer, and I was not like because I had only done a
Hmm.
bachelor then, and I still have not done a master's in Kathak, but at that time still I was probably like more bec- that time my riyaz was up to uh pace because back then I was doing
Hmm.
dance for so many hours. So um
Right.
anyway, so I had that opportunity to, kind of do
Sweet.
that and kind of
Hmm.
explore that path. So I did that.
Hmm.
What
Okay.
happened after that was like I kind of had to go through a lot of therapy and after
Hmm.
divorce. So it was like, it was
Oh.
almost like, I think almost 9 months, and it was at like almost three different places. So it was like but a lot of the places that actually ended up helping me were like places for yoga. So I did a lot of
Wow.
yoga, and not exactly like meditation, but just kind of like getting away and kind of doing
Hmm.
movement and asanas in a place which in couple of places in Gujarat actually. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I actually got
Interesting.
away from everywhere and I just went there, and I found yeah. So
Okay.
that was a very good time as well because and then one other thing I noticed is that a lot of people who do kind of get help for like mental health or whatever, especially it's like there's a lot of unfortunately like they're kind of like viewed in a different light, you know.
Hmm.
Because like
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
sometimes in India, there's no like control as to like how to kind of even like for example, I'll give you I there was a time where I used to have a lot of like hunger and they used to give like unlimited amount of food. But the thing is that's not
Hmm.
really what you do, like to just give
Hmm.
ex excess food because the
Yeah.
sugar levels would be up because the medication would be so high. So
Hmm. Hmm.
even keeping in mind
Yes.
those kind of things. But nobody cares about things like physical health or appearance when it comes to mental health patients. Like even
Hmm.
in Toronto, when I got a side effect of getting a lot of pimples on my face, there was no treatment whatsoever or focus on trying to
Oh.
like control that or fix that. You know what I mean? So
Hmm. Hmm.
like
Hmm.
not that I'm saying appearance is always very important, but
No, but I
it's
mean, it
kind
should
of
be at least
neglected.
taken care of.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
can't. You
neglected.
can't just like let it pass by.
Exactly. So
Hmm.
yeah, but to answer your question, उसके बाद फिर then I came to Toronto, and I guess again, I found another guru in a sense, but and actually their name
Okay.
is Guru only. They're the director of a school where I worked in North India.
Okay.
Uh, so for me, I spent about couple years there as a dance teacher, like away from a
And
lot
where
of.
was this?
This was in Dalhousie.
Oh, nice. In a
Yeah.
Kathak, like a dance
No,
school.
no, no, not only for Kathak. It's actually it's a boarding school. It's called Dalhousie Public
Okay.
School. So I was a
Okay.
teacher there, and
Okay.
yeah, it was funny because when I went there first, I thought that not a lot of people would end up finding out about my dad, but I think it spread like, like the moment I
I like how you're saying. Why would
yeah,
you think that your dad is a very well-known person?
I have to say it was a very good experience because I kind of
Hmm.
like I made friends with like one of the teachers there, and she was all like,
Mm.
and I've written about it as well in my memoir. So she was like a friend,
Okay.
a counselor, and like uh, elder sister and mother, everything all rolled into one, and she
Mm.
my
Mm.
supervisor, so she was like always around me. And it was actually what really unfolded there was magic because at that point I had already
Oh,
given up dance. मैंने तो छोड़ ही दिया था. And वहां पे जाके
that's it.
spending time with the children and everything, uh, it was funny because I got inspired because there was some other teacher who was doing some kind of Punjabi dance, and this teacher was
Mm.
and I thought, okay, so they're allowed to dance like that, and I
Mm.
wanted to as well. I was like, "Okay, I have done dance, I want to," but I think that's a very conservative place, so at least that
Mm.
so to get a teacher to kind of get up there and dance.
Must be something.
But then I was like, at least I can, like teach the children. So that's when my own dance started. And I kind of
Very nice.
kids, and then my routine would be like, like 3-4 hours of dance every day. So and then
Super.
yeah, so yeah. And then I kind of moved back to Mumbai. I left that place because I wanted to settle down, and I don't know if that was the right move, but it got me to Toronto.
In some way, in some way, it
So
was the right
yeah,
one.
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, and yeah,
Mm.
being closer to family is always good. So my mother has always been there for me. So it's
Oh, so sweet.
yeah.
So your mom always lived in Canada? Am I
Uh,
understanding it correct?
Yes and no. So like she also moved here for the first time when I was 12. Like actually before that, even when I was around
Okay.
11. And then I moved here when I was 12 to Edmonton, between 12 and 18. And then I moved back along with my
Yeah.
family at age 18. And then so but my mom has sort of always been here because my I mean, I call him Abba, but he's my stepfather. But I call him Abba. I had
Sure.
an option. He's South Indian actually, so from
Oh,
Mangalore. So I had an
okay.
option to call him Abba or Appa back then. Like I said, okay, I'll
Mm.
call you Abba. And at that time, I didn't. As a child, you don't think, okay, that's a term only used by certain people or certain background.
Yeah.
I just like the sound of
Just
it.
came
Like, yeah.
naturally.
So. And I
Very
don't think
nice.
it's a problem if certain terms are used by certain cultures or
Of
religions,
course.
divisions made by society. So,
Very
anyway,
nice.
Anyway, tell me about more about you. मैंने तो बहुत बोल दिया अभी.
Wow, that's a quite a journey. Firstly, I think kudos to you for coming out of so many things that hit you,
Yeah.
and to a point where you're advocating mental health so publicly and coming out and talking about it. I think it takes a lot of courage and processing. You
Yeah.
can only speak about it when you've processed it enough and it doesn't bring up emotion. So, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. I don't
About,
think it would have been possible without my family, and that's my dad included, although he's not able to be
mm,
physically present all the time, but we talk so often, and we did meet for a
mm,
long time, but then COVID was a big problem, obviously, for
yeah,
so many
yeah,
families. Uh,
mm,
anyway, but yeah, so tell me about you.
perfect.
Like now you are on a spiritual path. How long do you meditate for every day? Like if you don't mind my asking.
Um, no, I don't actually, but it's not like sitting meditation practice has to be
Yeah.
there now.
Mm.
So, but on an average, 3 to 4 hours, you can say, where I
Wow.
do sadhana.
Yeah, see, I've
And
been told I can't meditate because of my mental health, so I don't. Now I don't.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
well, I have a lot to say about that,
Oh,
but we'll
please
park
tell
that
me.
for
I would be so delighted to hear something.
yeah, I mean, there is just nobody on this earth who can't meditate. And I can go on record and justify this in quantum physics, in terms of neurolinguistics, in terms of neuroscience, that this is just like a fixed idea that the world has about mental health and how the things operate. But I don't, so I do something called a psychospiritual method now,
Okay,
where I marry psychology with the spiritual uh, lineage that we come from.
right.
So mindfulness is something that was
It's
born in
always
India.
existed. Yes, I don't know what this new thing is that, oh, mindfulness,
Yeah,
mindfulness.
yeah. So mindfulness कोई नई बात नहीं है. It's existed
Okay.
since we're
हाँ.
breathing because it's your breath.
But to be
So
honest, it's a very, I mean, I'm not very surprised because the West does have this habit of kind of picking and uprooting whatever exists in other
yeah,
countries and then claiming it as their own. So,
yeah, because they know how to structure it. I think what they've done is they've really given us a structure to teach and make it very trainable without leaving our daily lives. So I do give that credit to the West.
so
बिकॉज इन इंडिया इट वाज लाइक यू हैव टू लीव योर होम आपको संन्यास लेके हिमालय जाना पड़ेगा तब आप मेडिटेट कर
that
सकते
makes
हो
sense too, yeah.
हाँ लेकिन वो मैं नहीं मानती हूँ मैं ये मानती हूँ कि एवरीबॉडी नो मैटर वेयर दे आर इवन इफ यू आर इन अ पीपल like it's like a crowded metro
Hmm.
even if you're in a bazaar nothing could stop this because it's just your breath. You will never stop breathing,
Yeah.
whether you're underwater, whether you're flying, whether you're in people, whether you're alone, whether you're sick, whether you are absolutely sick. You will still have awareness of your breath, and that is mindfulness. So that is
Absolutely.
meditation in a way. So it just doesn't make sense to say, oh, ऐसा है तो नहीं कर सकते. It's an unconditional process of
Yeah.
breathing.
Absolutely. It's just, I guess, the extent to which you are aware in that process. I mean,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's trainable. I mean, I would also say, like you, like I wouldn't be here unless my gurus were with me. So I'm not saying it happens to anybody out of nowhere. I also suffered through depression for many years in between.
Is it depression and?
Yeah, so I said I went through clinical depression for about 5 to 6 years in between, where I was diagnosed, and then I also took meds for some time and
Mhm.
things like that.
Yeah.
So I had to stop practicing at some point for a year
Hmm.
as a life coach because you can't see patients when you are going through so much.
Yeah.
It would bring up a lot. So it was an occupational hazard at some point, I would say. But I
Yeah.
still continued on the path of spirituality because spirituality doesn't define these things. Spirituality is like, okay, you're just aware. Even if you're depressed, you're still aware.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you're feeling sad, you're still aware. Even if you're not feeling the most happy, you're still aware. So the whole idea of awareness is actually beyond this conceptual understanding of the mind. And most psychology and mindfulness का understanding also to an extent is still in the mind. It's still a concept कि हाँ ठीक है, this is the idea of how it should look like. But actually, when you start meditating, so much shit comes up. It's not going to be peaceful for anyone for at least first 5 years or something.
Absolutely. I agree with you. So for me, I think I did practice a lot of, I guess you can say meditation only when I was actually extremely sick. So it's almost like I wanted to
Hmm.
reach out to that, I guess, to that universal power when I was really, really low. And
At the low. Yeah.
exactly. That's when I kind of reached out. So I would light agarbatti and I would say Gayatri mantra. I would be like, like thinking about my dadi. I would do anything to make me feel better. And
Hmm. Hmm.
also, I kind of did have a very like spiritual side to me, which just became so like awakened, and I kind of realized that everything that
Hmm.
I have been doing in my life, like especially when it comes to dance, has actually
Hmm.
been a form of meditation for me. So I know that
Nice.
when my mom also me and my mother collaborated on a film together on this during
Hmm.
COVID. So we made a film together called Unfinished, and it was basically about, well, like she did film me while I was not well, but I was also well. So it was kind of like we collaborated during that time. And
Hmm.
in that, for me, it's like I did say that, and I kind of used that text in my memoir also. But for me, dancing is a form of meditation because it puts a
Hmm.
stop of thoughts, and it kind of,
Exactly.
that flow is entirely stopped. And in that moment, I'm just somewhere else with an entirely different focus. So for me, that is also
Correct.
meditation. And I think that's in a way for me to be so mindful in that moment, doing that
Hmm.
movement, feeling that emotion, that I'm
Hmm.
actually somewhere else and I'm transported somewhere else in that moment.
And
Um,
that's exactly what it is. I mean, if we don't understand and we stay in the mind, that is also meditation. Like there is a place from where you understand something, you report that you understand something, and from the same place you report you don't understand. But
yeah,
that place remains untouched, right? Whether
yeah,
you dance, whether you sit, whether you're sick, that awareness space is constant. It's unhinged.
absolutely.
That is unshaken. So the whole idea is that, like for example, Osho defines this as Nataraja meditation, where you become the dance.
Yeah,
And he recommended, so there are I follow the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, which has 112 techniques of meditation. Out of them, dancing, movement, walks, breathing, including sex, is a form of meditation. So
okay.
there is this Buddhist idea which got very popular to sit and meditate,
Yeah,
and then it was propagated by Hinduism. But like for example, once Guru Nanak was asked that you killed people on the war field, and now you're becoming a spiritual guru. How do you say that? He said, because that moment, that was the meditation that I needed to do.
yeah,
This was my duty to the world. This was the purpose why I existed in that moment. So even he killing other people was meditation. Though how do you not see, like, how do you separate the activity from yourself is basically where the problem is. The moment I separate myself from this activity, I start thinking about something else. I have not been connected to myself. That is when you lose it. So mindfulness is not, so there are these two words, meditation and mindfulness, get mixed up, but
yeah,
they're actually very different things. Meditation is a process while mindfulness is an activity.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't be
And
surprised.
mindfulness, and it's 24 hours. It is constantly happening. It
Hmm.
is when even when you're asleep. Sometimes you dream and you can see that you're dreaming. We call it lucid dreaming.
Yeah,
Even that time you're aware. Even while you're asleep, you're aware. So how? So there's just no escape from it in a way.
yeah,
Might as well recognize it.
It's funny. It reminds me of the time when I was talking to my doctor, my psychiatrist, at that time when I was sick, and I said, I said that I think love is life and life is love, and but the best thing about it is if I want to live it, I will, and if I want to end it, I will. But whether or
Yeah,
not I want, it's going to end anyway. So
yeah, exactly. And you can't do anything about it. Yes.
stop to that's one thing
You,
you can't control, coming in and going out of this world. It's gonna happen.
exactly. So
Yeah,
might as well make the best of it and
exactly.
might as well live the best you can. So this is just so undoubted truth of the world. But then again, the mind wants to come and conceptualize and limit the understanding and then say, oh, you can do this, you can't do this. So just like every other societal norms, there are norms about meditations also, which are basically mind's conditioning. And the
Yeah.
moment we get into this, so Ramana Maharshi has this very beautiful quote. He says, it's like stirring a pot with a
Hmm.
stick. But
Hmm.
at the end, even the stick has to go in the pot.
Yeah.
That stick is this conditioning about meditation. So before that, your relationships will be questioned, your health will be questioned, your body will be questioned, your childhood trauma will be questioned. All of this is part of one spiritual process of evolution.
Yeah.
You can't be directly, like, of course, there are some beings that just woke up, like Ramana Maharshi woke up at 16, but they'd have done that work in their last lifetime.
Hmm.
Nobody has escaped this trial that we are going through. There
Yeah.
is just no escape to this. So, everybody in their own journey, in their own spaces, are going to confront some or the other form of conditioning that they have about themselves, their trauma. They have to process it. There is just no two ways about that.
Hmm. And for people who are processing things, like for example, but in particular who are diagnosed with mental health, I feel like they are having to process not only stigma but also self-stigma, na? Because the society
Yeah.
is saying that you have this label and that
Hmm.
according to that label you should be A, B, C, and then they question
Correct.
right now in that moment, am I A, B, C? Is it because of that or is it because of my personality? And then those thoughts, behaviors, actions, feelings in a way are controlled by the society because they feel either they're not in line with the notion of normality, or
Hmm.
it's very I feel like it's very liberating to accept, not only accept what you're diagnosed with, but also be free of what you're diagnosed with.
Exactly. And that liberation is the last step from the mental health issue itself.
Yeah.
Most people are healed way before they are actually recognizing that they're healed. A lot of times, most people come to me at the very end of their journey, and I am a person who will just tell them, I validate you as a professional, you're done.
Yeah.
This story is over. This chapter is ended. Now you should plan your life in a way that you're a normal person where you don't have this.
Right.
Then what would you be? Who would you be without this label? And most people are like, oh, I don't know. This is my comfort zone. And I'd be like, exactly.
Mm.
This is your comfort zone. So the mind keeps telling you, don't leave this because this is a known territory, even if it's bad.
Yeah.
Abuse is also like that. If you ask anybody who's gone through abuse, the first thing they would be like, but I don't know what life would look like outside this.
It's a whole familiar.
Yeah, that familiarity is comfortable, and that familiarity keeps you there. And that familiarity, the moment you talk about growth, on one side they would want to grow. Of course, there's this need for growth and understanding, wanting to grow a lot, and intention is there. But on the other side, I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable here. Do I want to leave this comfort zone? So most people are at the end of their journey. They just need to recognize, I am done.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you mentioned that. So for me, when I was going through my abuse, I had to actually do something which was so crazy that I had to, that people would point fingers at me to break out of the
Oh,
relationship. So I did infidelity, but I had to step out. That was my way of
mm,
saying that, okay, if you
Hmm.
want to point fingers at me and say that I'm the bad person, you can do that.
Perfect.
And it was like that was my way of exiting, because I did try to do that before, leave and everything, but it was, I guess, for me in that moment, it was easier to stay and take that abuse and then live that life, newfound life that I had found. And
Hmm.
yeah, I
Hmm.
think I was still kind of, because I had become, I didn't want to leave that life at the same time
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
with the community that I had made connections with. But at the same time, I had this like that kind of like regretful feeling every time I would head home, the home.
Hmm.
So it
Yeah, the
would be like
so-called home.
constant push and pull. And I
Hmm.
realized that no matter where you kind of go, your mind travels with you. So there really is no escape. So, but I have had to kind of start from, I guess, I mean, I use this phrase now because of my dad's whole film and all, but I really did have to start from zero so often. So wherever I moved, I had to again
Yeah.
start from zero. So it was, whether it was in India and Germany, I stayed in US also, and now I'm in Canada. So it's like, but then that's kind of like a physical shift, right? Where you kind of have to
Yeah.
start. But then what if you kind of get into an episode and you lose your mind, and then you have to start
Hmm.
again then, because then in that
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
you really find out who your true friends are, because then when you gain consciousness,
Also.
the people who are surrounding you are actually, sometimes you thought maybe they're not your true friends, but they're still sticking by you. That's what surprised
Yeah.
me the
Yeah.
most.
Wow, that's great that you found people who stuck by through these hard times in your life.
Yeah.
That's basically, I think we live for those people most
Yeah,
days.
absolutely. Yeah.
Your soulmates or your
I'm not a
friends
group
in
person.
today's age.
Group, I cannot handle, like, it's not that I'm anxious, but I think that we cannot
Hmm.
make those kind of connections in a very, very
Yeah, it
deep.
can't get deeper than that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're always hitting a certain level and you cannot go. I personally feel the same. I don't have a group of friends, but I have independent, very, very strong relationships, which
absolutely.
have again stuck by my hard low and highs. And also to understand that, okay, they are also going through the same.
Absolutely.
Somewhere or the other, they relate on a very different level. You can call it a trauma bond sometimes, that it enables the trauma as well in some way. I've researched on this for a while as well in between. I have a series on Instagram where I was like, is it enabling me or is it disabling me in some way?
Yeah.
Because when we talk so much about it, but no, I really found at the end of it that it could be disabling in some ways, but the wins are more than the losing. So it's okay. There can be some part of us which relates very deeply and reinforces the trauma when we meet someone who has the same story. But at the same time, it helps you heal in some very weird way because you just find that camaraderie and like kinship with
Right.
each other.
I think that at some level, everybody has some kind of trauma which they have to deal with. Some are more severe than others. But
Hmm.
I feel like, I know, call me silly, but I feel like more severe the trauma, I think once you're out of it and once you actually face it entirely, you're actually at a far different level than for example,
Most
you've not
others.
really felt that pain, because I feel like coming
Hmm.
out of that, it's like there's that quote, I think by Rumi, it's like one of the biggest characters have the biggest scars in them, or something
Oh
like that.
yeah, 100%,
Absolutely.
100%.
So
Yeah,
by
you
then,
can't deny that.
yeah,
But
uh,
another thing, what stood out, I think, in your conversation was the fact that you kept moving. I have the same. I've moved 4 cities in last 4 years, but I've moved by will, and I wanted to explore different parts of India, live there, be with their communities, and find a place where I want to settle down.
yeah,
So Pune was definitely not. I was there for 11 years.
in Pune.
But Pune, yeah, I continued after Simbi for till like 2020. And then when COVID hit, I was like, I'm done. And there were so many life circumstances also which were really literally kicking me out of Pune in
Yeah,
some way.
Yeah,
My business went bankrupt at some point, and I had to restart a new initiative altogether, which is now what I'm doing
right.
and things. But yeah, I like moving in a new place and starting from zero. And I did it all on my own, like from zero, each place, whether it's financially, physically, emotionally, it is hard, is all I would say. It is so hard, but it
Yeah,
is so worth also because that journey led me to where I am today, where I feel truly home. And I live alone for many years now and thoroughly feel connected to the land, the
absolutely.
thoroughly feel connected to the community here. That is a treasure, I feel, in a
I
deeper sense.
I think I mean it also kind of reminds me of all the topics that even I really like J. Krishnamurti's philosophy a lot as
Hmm. Hmm.
I went to Sayadri school. And I guess at
Oh,
that time,
okay.
yeah. So from I think I was sixth standard to well, I don't remember now, somewhere. My childhood was there. I spent like 3, 4 years there. Four no,
Hmm.
third to seventh I was there, but then I moved to
Hmm.
Canada, right? But I kind of
Right.
like had that in me because that's a very like critical time of childhood. So
Core.
I was
Hmm.
yeah, core. So but for me, I think it's like kind of that whole thing of also like starting fresh and everything. I think it's in a way, you know, exiting or pushing the eject button from this
Hmm.
whole game that we're actually in, this play or whatever, and just hitting pause and just starting
Hmm.
over. And I think that kind of gives us so many opportunities to uh, apply whatever we've learned from all our mistakes
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%.
just yeah, so I think there's so much growth and learning there, and it's funny because
Hmm.
we're so afraid of starting again, but I think starting again gives us so many possibilities and opportunities to and I'm not saying to correct ourselves, but to kind of do everything that we really wanted to do
Yeah,
that
it's like a
was not
realignment.
possible at that time, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this whole thing about finding the tribe, finding the guru, and finding because I also didn't really connect to people in symbiosis. Like I still don't have a single friend I'm
A
connected to
very
or
corporate
whatever.
place, extremely corporate.
Yeah, it was very, yeah, very like I don't know, it just didn't continue to be. Like I had some good friends that time, but they didn't continue to be in touch. And I also changed streams very quickly. I
Hmm.
think in 2 years down the line, I changed streams to coaching to heal my own trauma. That's how I began. But then I felt the calling to do this full time. So
Hmm.
I actually went back and did a grad in psychology. So it was very important for me, I think, to have an official degree in some way. And I also wanted to go to the US and whatever, but that didn't happen.
Hmm.
Also crashed a relationship, almost a marriage.
Oh,
I think I dodged a bullet by not getting married publicly. I think
yeah,
it was
you did.
in
Trust me.
some.
The big shosha, trust me, I have learned that I mean, it's not needed. You won't believe if I tell you. Actually, I can. Anyways, it's public knowledge in my circle. But when we got married, when I got married second time, my husband and so we didn't actually हमने फेरे नहीं किए. We didn't do Hindu rituals as I would have liked. And my
Hmm,
partner is actually agnostic, but that's not the reason we didn't do it. I just thought that at some point my dad would visit and we would do it then. And he did visit
hmm,
and all that. But when he was there, we just wanted to be with him and not do all of that. Because he was there for
hmm,
like couple weeks and we don't want to spend that time, like doing all the rituals. And we wanted his family also to be there. So that didn't happen. And now it's like we've kind of, uh, we basically just it was funny because it was a very Western thing, but
hmm.
we exchanged vows and everyone, just threw some like flowers on us and then the person asked us to kiss and I was like, oh, okay, now we have to kiss. And it was
That's
funny.
cute though.
Yeah, but we didn't spend much. It was like a small dinner with close family and friends, and so it was
Very nice.
small as compared to the first time round, and I think my dad was very proud of me because of that. But I'm also a very different person now. Like I said, it's a
Yeah.
total 360-degree turn or 180, whatever. I'm not good with math.
I can
Flip.
see that.
It's a flip, okay? I wouldn't have ever done this long back. So,
Sweet. So
uh,
what do you do now? Like as a professional, like
yeah,
is
so
there
my profession, let me tell you. So I'm essentially a housewife, but I'm doing full-time studies. I'm in my
okay.
last year of a bachelor. It's my second bachelor. My first one was in performing arts and Kathak, but my right now I'm doing early childhood education. So it's all about, I guess,
Oh.
early childhood. And yeah, but it was essentially a leadership degree. So this our last semester is basically I'll be doing a research project, and I'm going to be
Hmm.
focusing on mental health and early childhood educators. And that is also something that I got inspired by my research supervisor that I had done an internship with, Dr. Adam W.J. Davies, and they're just incredible. And so they've really
Hmm.
motivated me a lot because it's almost something that it's almost like when you kind of are sort of in a path, but then someone comes along and sort of gives you that direction.
Yeah, nudges in the right way.
And then you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And that's what
Hmm.
was the realization. Anyway, so I have applied to like some places for like a master's research master. And I essentially
Oh,
just
okay.
want to continue studying, and I like this thing of studying. But the other thing that I've kind of wanted to initiate and start, I recently registered myself a kind of like a foundation, and it's called Finding Order and Disorder Foundation. So I hope to
Oh,
have conversations with people who I meet, like yourself, and just kind of share it, because I think
sure.
advocacy is something that just starts from you don't need like you don't need money for this, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
You
Hmm.
need a voice, and you need to connect with people, I think. That is what
100%.
it is. Yeah, as much as everyone would like funding and fundraising and money to do things, and I think that it starts on a very grassroots level where you're actually connecting with people and having conversations and creating safe spaces for expression. And
Hmm.
that is very underrated in our community right now because people are so afraid to speak. Like I
Hmm.
cannot imagine. I'm sure you must be knowing the amount of, and I'm not saying fakeness, so it's not something that is in their control. I
Hmm.
They're just too scared to really be their true self. Either they've not discovered
Sure.
their true selves, or they're afraid of
Hmm.
discovering their true selves, or they're afraid of other people discovering their true selves. I don't know.
Makes sense.
It's a
Hmm.
combination of all of that. And that kind of
Sure.
impacts connection at the level
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
we can really connect. So it's like, you and me, I feel like the moment we started talking, or at least I felt that, that we could, that's why I said we'll meet first. But then I was like, okay, we gotta record this right away. There was a connection. And you get that.
Yeah,
And that's,
100%.
yeah. So anyway.
Perfect. So this foundation, what does it like right now? It is advocating mental health.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. And
Okay.
it honestly, it can be talking about any topics. I don't know where this is going to lead, but I want to or advocate for mental health, but not in a very medical model sort of way. So really
Sure.
more about wellness and well-being
Hmm.
and what that means for people, and trying to find not really solutions to correct, but more of like what what people out there are actually not only going through, but wanting to it's like this collect whatever is going on inside me and what I'm experiencing, and I want to share with people. I think that
Mm.
also people are also going through the same thing and they're just not able to talk
Mm.
about it. Uh,
Yeah.
I do not think that, and especially I think in India so much stigma, even in like especially in rural areas, that you cannot actually talk about these things, and
Mm.
within families also there's stigma, regardless of socioeconomic status. So that's not even a
Yeah,
question.
yeah. I think the higher you go in the economics, the worse it gets.
Absolutely.
Like they will hide it more and they would want to create
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
stories about it.
Yeah.
Also, it gets talked about a lot more. So the stakes are much higher.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
understand why people do that as well. I mean, I work with the highest high of the society, and
Yeah.
I never get a testimonial. Like
Yeah.
there's not a single testimonial of anybody who is actually in that celebrity or less than that, like even a C-level person. They don't really give me a testimonial because it's just not possible for them. They're
Yeah.
like, if
No,
I
this
come
is,
out to say that I was going through anxiety, it could hamper my profession right away or my reputation right away. It would hamper my entire life or my children's life or something like that. So
yeah.
people don't give me a testimonial, but do I end up working with them and do these issues exist? 100%.
Yeah.
And not many people would want to, like you said, come and talk about it
Yeah.
so publicly. But I think there's a
And
lot that happened when Deepika Padukone came and talked
yeah, of
about it.
course she did. Yeah, yeah. And that's
Like
also another thing. Like they sugarcoat it as well now. So they will
in
not,
some way.
yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you want
I
to
really
make
like.
make like a podcast or something? Like how is it?
Yeah, so I did start off with this idea of having a podcast, which I did do with, and the first episode was with my research professor, and
Hmm.
but that was part of my college and solutions project more. So, but I got that kind of inspired me to go ahead, and so I have started like talking to people uh
Hmm.
and people reaching out to me as well. But I wanted to do something by myself because I'm having these conversations with people, but I realized that I want to also
Hmm.
be the one to reach out to people and then share it on my platform as well. So, and
Yeah.
and I don't think it's more like, a lot of people are like, okay, so we've recorded this, so we put it on our platform. But I think that our aim should be to try to reach out to as many people as possible. So, for example, if
Yeah.
we recorded
100%.
this, you share it and I share it, and we collaborate and put it out there.
Yeah, it's a collaborative.
Exactly, as
Definitely.
many people.
100%.
So, yeah, but yeah, but podcast is definitely one thing, but I think another thing that I have kind of thought of is trying to, incorporate creative ways of
Hmm.
expression and healing, which has worked for me. So in that case,
Okay.
for me, that's my like dance and writing and healing. It's like a catharsis for me. So uh,
Hmm.
I guess the ultimate dream is to find a space, like a physical space where we can
Hmm.
commune, and but I'm still navigating the like Canadian society and see how that goes. And I think I want to
Hmm.
get a PhD first and then do that. I want to
Wow.
study. Yeah, I really want to
So
study.
this PhD would be like early education, the early child education.
Not exactly. I Because
Okay.
I've not even completed a bachelor, I'm thinking of PhD, but I want to do like a research master's, which is focusing on more of social justice education. So not really limiting myself to early childhood, but
Okay.
definitely it's like I want to quote my late uncle on this. He had Papa, he passed away due to COVID. So he would always say that knowledge is just leaking from everywhere. So I guess whatever you learn, you can always apply it to when
Hmm.
you go ahead in life. So whatever
Hmm.
I've learned in my time in early childhood, it's not really like it's gonna leave me, but I can always come back
Hmm.
and apply to whatever I'm doing ahead. So I have applied to some places and I hope it works out. But honestly, I think that I mean, if there's a will, there's a way, right? So if whatever doors close,
Hmm.
it's not like you're gonna stop. Like I'm gonna continue to
Hmm. Hmm.
or the other. That journey you have to keep walking on,
100%. Yeah.
whether you get validation or acceptance or people welcome you or yeah. So it's constant for me. So it honestly doesn't matter for me. Uh,
Hmm.
what matters is that I don't stop doing what I'm doing. I
That's
stop
perfect.
and that
Super
cycle
good.
stops, then I'm in trouble.
Also, I feel whenever you start in a direction of a overall greater good, there is a force behind you that makes sure that you get there. Even when you are tired and you don't want to do it and you don't want to show up, like I feel this very strongly within myself
Mhm.
that every time I had a slack in these 10 years of life coaching practice that I've done,
Yeah.
whenever I felt that no, I can't show up today, I think I've delivered the best. I have been there for people in their worst, in their most down, even when they were not paying me or paying me. It has this element of money, and of course, you are not friends with your clients, but you are their supporters no matter what.
Yeah.
There's a basic hand holding understanding that is unconditional and it's given by the professional, and that's the only way I think anybody heals also with you. So
Yeah.
this all of these years I've seen there is an unknown force with me that continuously makes sure that I don't deviate. And that is that's an invisible thing. It is not tangible. I cannot express it in very words of how it works, but it just works through me each time, every time I slack. So even if you have this intention to say advocate and talk about it, it is it is not your will, it is a divine will that is being expressed through you. And the moment we give it to the divine, like you said, I've just surrendered to the process. Let's see what happens, even if people don't accept it. That is the only way you create something new, also. No new things are accepted in the first way. In the first go, there is nothing that is accepted. 10 years back, when I was telling people I was life coaching, people didn't want to pay for it. They were like, "You're 23. What are you going to tell me about what life advice you have?"
Some people
So
are like,
it was
oh God, you're going
very,
to be 34. Oh God. I was like, what is wrong with this? What is this like obsession with age?
oh,
I tell
I'm
you,
growing younger.
I know. This is the best time that I have ever been alive in my life. And
Yeah.
so,
And it is the happiest part of, I feel, one's journey. I like this meme that came on Instagram that 30s are like 20s with money. I
that's funny.
really enjoy that. I was like, yeah, that's so true. Now I have a huge house I can afford. I can afford to travel. I can do whatever I want. I can buy whatever I want, and I can still be in my 20s, go party if I feel like, or
Yeah.
meditate hours without caring about where tomorrow is going to be.
But
Because I'm settled now.
that also comes with a lot of responsibility and also wisdom, right?
Oh,
Because you don't have that wisdom. You're
100%.
experimenting and burning your fingers, and then 30s is when you actually apply that learning. And
Yeah.
and then you make newer mistakes, and then I wonder what 40s has to hold, right?
I think 40s are the peak of enjoyment. I see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm waiting to be 40, but I'm not scared of being 40. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have the age label kind of pushing me in one direction or the other. It
Mm.
is happening for sure. I am turning 35 and I am happy, but I'm single, and it is a very hard thing to be single
Yeah.
in place like Tamil Nadu, where it's so conservative to be an Indian woman. So foreigners living here alone is very normal,
Yeah, obviously,
but they
because
don't see many non-Tamilian Indian women doing what I'm doing.
yeah.
And especially holding a bigger house or whatever. People live in a certain room or guest house or whatever. I was like, no, I'm a queen. I need a big house. I need everything. I want to cook for myself every day and I want to enjoy everything that comes with it. Because
Absolutely.
this is your 30s, now is your time. You have the money and you have the space, you have the energy to do all that you want.
Yeah.
So thoroughly, it is really the peak of my life as well this year. And
And yeah,
especially finding my guru.
and it's well deserved, right? Like you earned it. I mean, you're not
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well deserved. Like 15 years of extreme hard work within and without.
And when it comes to cooking, it's for me, I have a very like interesting relationship with it. So when I cook, I have to like do it properly. So
Hmm.
1 hour minimum I have to spend cooking, and I'm enjoying that process and everything. But then when I don't feel like, I will not cook at all.
Hmm.
Either
Yeah,
like,
a lot of people go through the fatigue. Yeah, it
yeah, so
either,
I
but
can't.
you can't enjoy it every day. Like I think I enjoy, say, 5 days a week, and then other 2 days I don't, but I still do it because
Yeah,
the
because you
body
have,
needs to
yeah,
eat, and I can't eat out. But I also have the best ashrams here, so I keep eating at the prasadam, and
oh
I
wow.
think
Yeah,
my environment really allows me to, yeah, like skip meals in the most healthy ways.
that's so nice. Yeah. I
Yeah,
guess
having these
my thing is,
options.
जब मैं खाना नहीं बनाती, then my partner makes it.
That's good. You found your
Very
ashram.
good, sweet of him to do that. Yeah, but I think it's, but you know what? Let me change that phrase, because we have that Indian notion that, oh, husband को नहीं बनाना चाहिए. But यहाँ
No,
पे
why not?
it's totally different, where like we're equal partners.
I'm also very glad to see that it's being implemented, even the person is Indian. Because even if people are abroad, the patriarchy goes with them.
Patriarchy actually gets even it gets it gets exaggerated here. I have noticed that patriarchy is even more abroad, because somehow they feel insecure that they're going to lose their Indian identity, or क्या हो जाएगा. So people are
हाँ.
actually sometimes even
Preserving it.
Western and in India, but वहां छोड़ के आते हैं यहाँ पे, तो पता नहीं क्या हो जाता है. Suddenly all the
हाँ.
Indian instincts, good and bad, get extremely blown out of proportion. That's
That's
why I don't
that's
have that
a
many Indian friends here. मेरी एक ही, I think, yeah, I have only one Indian friend here. She's actually my college. She's like my college colleague, my younger sister. Her name is Navjot, Punjabi, and I kind of like that because she is in her mid 20s, but I kind of like. I mean, she's kind of ahead of her age and stuff, but I like that young energy, and also kind of I see that maturity in her, and I kind of see a little bits and pieces of myself in her, which kind of attract
mm,
spending time with her, and it's nice having that. Yeah, but I think I'd like to kind of embrace that whole thing that, we are in Canada, where there's so many people from all over the world, and some of my best
mm.
friends, I mean, they're from all different backgrounds, and so we're having a small little intimate get together next weekend, and we're just really trying to, engage in a way which is like maybe less than type people. I don't have that many friends, but the friends that I do have, once we become friends, that's it. Like nothing kind of stops that. Yeah, but anyway,
Awesome.
and it's like I'm really looking forward to that, because people come and
Yeah.
go. I mean, that's true, but and I've seen it happen in my life as well, where people have kind of just suddenly left me, and or I have left them. But
Mm.
uh I guess you always do know the people who are kind of are like to stay. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah, the
some
rock.
friends who are like family, and then there's some who you've kind of just met and you're kind of just figuring out. But
Figuring out. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I totally understand. I've changed
yeah,
so many cities and very few people have stuck through, but I really cherish those relationships. One
yeah.
of the reasons I'm traveling to Delhi now is because to celebrate my birthday with my best friend.
Oh, lovely.
Even though I live here, but I was like, no, I have to go and do
Yeah,
that one thing with her and one thing with my family. So I did Diwali with my family and I would do Christmas with her
that's so nice.
along with my birthday on your birthday and
Yeah.
Jesus's birthday.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was lovely connecting to you though.
Yeah, it was so
Um,
nice.